The sound of my skull cracking against marble echoes through eternity. Blood pools beneath my head like a crimson halo as I lay at the bottom of our grand staircase, the same stairs David insisted we needed to show our status. Now, they're showing something else entirely, the exact moment my husband's rage finally went too far. "Look what you made me do," he hisses from above, his designer shoes clicking against each step as he descends. "If you hadn't been nagging about the nursery again, this never would have happened." My hand clutches my 6-month pregnant belly, feeling our baby's frantic kicks beneath my palm. She's fighting. She's still fighting. "David, please," I whisper, tasting copper on my lips. "Call an ambulance. The baby. The baby. The baby. The baby." His voice explodes through our marble foyer. "That's all you ever talk about anymore. What about me, Camilla? What about what I need?" The kicks are getting weaker. Everything goes black. When consciousness drags me back, I'm staring at sterile white ceiling tiles. My hand moves instinctively to where my daughter should be, where she'd been growing strong and healthy just hours ago. Nothing, just flat, empty flesh beneath a hospital gown that smells like industrial bleach and broken dreams. "Nurse," I croak, my throat raw from screaming I don't remember. "My baby! Where's my baby?" The woman in scrubs has kind eyes, but they're filled with that practiced sympathy that comes from delivering devastating news too many times. She sits on the edge of my bed, her voice gentle as a funeral director's. "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Camilla. We couldn't save the pregnancy. The trauma to your head caused complications. Your daughter, she didn't make it." "My daughter. We were going to name her Emma. She was going to have David's dark hair and my green eyes. She was going to be perfect." But what the nurse says next shatters what's left of my already broken heart into microscopic pieces. "When we called your husband about the loss, She pauses, clearly uncomfortable. "He asked if you were going to survive. When we said yes, he said he couldn't handle this right now and that he needed space. He left about an hour ago." The words hit me like physical blows. David left, not just the building. He left. While I was unconscious, mourning our dead daughter, the man who promised to love me in sickness and in health walked out of the hospital like I was yesterday's garbage. Did he ask to see her?" I whisper. The nurse's silence is answer enough. "Alone." I'm completely alone. No husband, no daughter, no one to hold my hand while I sign the papers for my baby's burial. No one to tell me it's going to be okay, even if it's a lie. The rage builds slowly, like a storm gathering strength over dark water. How dare he? How dare he leave me here to face this nightmare alone? How dare he push me down those stairs and then abandon me when his violence finally had consequences? But as the fury reaches its peak, something impossible begins to happen. The room starts spinning, the fluorescent lights above becoming streaks of white fire. My vision blurs, and I feel like I'm falling backward through space and time itself. The sensation is like being pulled through a tornado made of memories. David's first charming smile, our wedding day, the first time he hit me, the gradual isolation from everyone who loved me. It all swirls together in a kaleidoscope of pain and regret until suddenly I'm standing. I'm standing in my college apartment and I'm 25 years old again. My hands are smooth, unmarked by the wedding ring that became a chain. My body is unmarked by David's fists. And there's a knock at my door, 3 sharp raps that I remember with crystal clarity. My heart stops because I know exactly who it is. It's David, with his expensive roses and practiced lines, ready to sweep me off my feet just like he did 8 years ago. But this time, I remember everything. I remember how he isolated me from my friends one by one, telling me they were jealous of our perfect relationship. I remember how his compliments always came with subtle insults. I remember how his love always had conditions and how his fists always followed his fury. The knocking continues, more insistent now. Camilla, I know you're home. Come on, beautiful. Let me in. This time, I don't move toward the door. This time, I turn around, and there he is, sitting at my kitchen table with textbooks scattered around him like always. Marcus. Quiet, steady Marcus with his kind brown eyes and gentle smile. In my first life, I barely noticed him. He was just my study partner, the sweet boy who brought me coffee during finals week and never asked for anything in return. While I was busy being dazzled by David's dangerous charisma, I completely overlooked the man who actually listened when I talked about my dreams instead of telling me they were unrealistic. Hey, Camilla, Marcus says softly, looking up from his psychology textbook. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. If only he knew I am the ghost, haunting my own past with the weight of future knowledge. The pounding at the door grows more violent. Camilla, I brought you roses. Don't be difficult. Marcus frowns, his protective instincts kicking in, even though he barely knows me yet. Want me to tell him you're not here? In my first life, I would have laughed it off. I would have told Marcus that David was just passionate, just romantic. I would have opened that door and let the monster in. Not this time. This time I walk over to Marcus and do something I should have done 8 years ago. I really look at him. I see the way his eyes crinkle when he's thinking, the careful way he handles his books like they're treasures, the genuine concern on his face for my well-being. Marcus, I say, my voice steady with newfound purpose, would you like to go get coffee? Somewhere far away from here? His face lights up like Christmas morning. I'd love that. As we gather our things, David's pounding becomes frantic. Camilla, I know you're in there. You can't hide from me forever. You belong to me. The sound of splintering wood fills the air. Marcus steps protectively in front of me, his gentle demeanour hardening into something fierce. We're leaving through the back exit. Now. As we slip out through my kitchen door, I can hear David's voice echoing through my apartment, furious and searching. But for the first time in either of my lives, I'm walking away from the monster instead of toward him. This is my second chance, my rebirth, my opportunity to choose the man whose love is steady like morning coffee, instead of explosive like dynamite. But as Marcus takes my hand to help me down the back steps, I can't shake the feeling that escaping David won't be as simple as just not opening the door. Some monsters don't give up that easily, and something tells me this is only the beginning. 3 weeks pass like a dream I'm afraid to wake up from. Marcus and I have been inseparable, studying together, sharing meals, talking until sunrise about everything and nothing. He makes me laugh in ways I'd forgotten were possible. When he looks at me, I don't see calculation or possession. I see genuine admiration, like I'm a puzzle he's delighted to solve rather than a prize he's determined to win. But David hasn't given up. He's everywhere now, like a shadow that's learned to hunt in daylight. Flowers appear on my doorstep with notes that start romantic and gradually turn threatening. I forgive you for hiding from me, my darling, but this game needs to end. Then, I don't know who that boy is, but he needs to disappear. And finally, you're mine, Camilla. Stop pretending otherwise. My phone buzzes constantly with calls from unknown numbers. When I answer, there's only breathing and the sound of something sharp being dragged across metal. When I don't answer, the voicemails get progressively more unhinged. I saw you with him today. David's voice purrs through my speaker like poisoned honey. Holding hands like teenagers. Did you tell him about us, Camilla? About how you used to scream my name? About how you used to beg me not to stop? Delete, block, repeat. But the most terrifying part isn't the stalking itself. It's how familiar this all feels. like I'm watching a movie I've seen before, except this time I know how it ends. In my first life, David's obsession escalated slowly over years. This time, it's happening in weeks, like he's fast-forwarding through his usual playbook. I'm sitting in the campus library with Marcus when I see him. David's standing by the philosophy section, pretending to read Nietzsche while his eyes track my every movement. He's gotten thinner, sharper somehow, like obsession has carved away everything soft about him. When our eyes meet across the room, he smiles, the same charming smile that once made me weak in the knees. Now it makes my blood freeze. "Camilla?" Marcus follows my gaze, his hand instinctively covering mine on the table. "Who is that?" I could lie. I should lie. But Marcus deserves the truth, even if it's incomplete. Someone I used to know, someone I need to stay away from. Marcus studies David with the analytical mind that's going to make him an incredible psychologist someday. I watch his expression change as he takes in the intensity of David's stare, the possessive way he's watching us, the barely contained violence radiating from his rigid posture. "Camilla," Marcus says quietly, never taking his eyes off David, "has this person ever hurt you?" The question hangs in the air like smoke. In my first life, I would have made excuses. I would have said David was just passionate, just misunderstood. I would have protected my abuser with the same energy I should have used to protect myself. "Yes," I whisper. Marcus's jaw tightens. "We're leaving. Back exit. Now." As we pack our books, I can feel David moving closer, weaving between the stacks like a predator stalking prey. The familiar panic rises in my throat, but this time, it's different. This time, I'm not alone. We make it to Marcus's car, but David is already there, leaning against the hood like he owns it. The parking lot is nearly empty, just a few scattered vehicles and too many shadows. "Well, well," David says, his voice carrying that dangerous calm I remember all too well. "Aren't you going to introduce me to your new friend, darling?" Marcus positions himself between David and me, his usually gentle demeanour replaced by something protective and fierce. "I don't know who you are, but you need to back away from her." David laughs, the sound like breaking glass. "Oh, you sweet, naive boy. You have no idea who you're dealing with, do you?" His eyes find mine over Marcus's shoulder. "Tell him, Camilla. Tell him about our history. Tell him about the promises you made. Tell him about the ring you threw at my feet like a spoiled child." "I never promised you anything," I say, my voice stronger than I feel. "And there was never a ring." David's mask slips for just a moment, revealing something cold and alien underneath. "No ring? Interesting." His head tilts, studying me like I'm a specimen under a microscope. "You're different, aren't you? Something's changed." My blood runs cold. How could he possibly know? "Get in the car," Marcus says urgently, opening my door. But as I move to comply, David's hand shoots out and grabs my wrist with bruising force. "We're not done talking, Camilla. We have 8 years to catch up on." 8 years. He said 8 years. But in this timeline, we've never even dated. We've never even spoken beyond that first night when I didn't answer the door. Marcus sees David's grip on me and something snaps. He grabs David's wrist and twists, using leverage and technique that speaks of self-defense training. "Let her go." David releases me, but he's smiling now, a terrible expression full of dark promise. "You know what I find fascinating about psychology majors?" he says conversationally, flexing his fingers. "They always think they can analyse their way out of dangerous situations. They think understanding predators makes them safe from them. And what I find fascinating about stalkers," Marcus replies evenly, pulling out his phone, "is how quickly they disappear when the police arrive." David's smile widens. "Call them, please. I'd love to explain to the officers how my ex-fiancé has been harassing me. how she's been sending me threatening messages and following me around campus. He pulls out his own phone, scrolling through what looks like a conversation thread. I have screenshots, voice recordings, witness statements. Would you like to see? My phone buzzes, a text from my own number. I can't stop thinking about you, David. I made a mistake. Please take me back. Another buzz. I'm going to hurt myself if you don't answer me. And another. I'm watching you with that pathetic boy. If you don't come back to me, I'll make sure he pays for keeping us apart. Impossible, I breathe. I never sent these. Technology is amazing these days, David says cheerfully. Voice cloning, text spoofing, deepfake photos. You'd be surprised what you can make someone appear to have said or done, especially when you have their personal information, their social security number, access to their accounts. The realization hits me like a physical blow. In my first life, I gave David everything. Passwords, personal information, complete access to my digital life. Somehow, impossibly, he still has it all. Marcus's face has gone pale as he reads over my shoulder. This is identity theft. This is love. David interrupts, his voice dropping to that dangerous whisper I remember so well. This is what happens when someone tries to run from their destiny. Suddenly, campus security appears, 2 officers walking directly toward us. David's smile becomes triumphant. Officers, he calls out, his voice full of relief and just the right amount of distress. Thank God you're here. This woman has been stalking me for weeks, and now she's brought her friend to intimidate me. As the security guards approach, David leans close enough that only I can hear his next words. You can run through time itself, my darling, but you can't run from me. I'll find you in every timeline, every reality, every possible future, because some things are inevitable. His eyes flash with something that isn't quite human. And some monsters, he whispers, are eternal. Officers, I'm so glad you're here, David continues, his voice perfectly calibrated with just the right amount of distress. This woman has been terrorizing me for weeks. The security guards look between us, David in his expensive clothes and practiced vulnerability, me still shaking from his grip, and Marcus standing protectively beside me like a shield. Ma'am, we're going to need you to come with us, the older guard says, his hand already moving toward his radio. But Marcus steps forward, his psychology training kicking in. Before you make any decisions, I think you should know that this man just grabbed her wrist hard enough to leave marks. Look. He gently lifts my arm, revealing the red fingerprints David's grip left behind. The evidence is undeniable. David's mask slips for just a moment, a flash of pure rage that the guards can't miss. She probably did that to herself. She's been self-harming for attention. I have medical records. From when? Marcus interrupts sharply. You said you barely know each other. The contradiction hangs in the air like a noose. David realizes his mistake. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I see genuine fear in his eyes. I mean, from what I've observed about her behaviour, he stammers, but the younger guard is already pulling out his notepad. Sir, we're going to need you to explain how you have access to this woman's medical information if you barely know her. While David scrambles for an explanation, I make a decision that will change everything. Officers, I say, my voice steady despite the chaos in my heart, I need to show you something. I pull out my phone and open my camera roll, scrolling back to photos I took 3 days ago. Photos of the flowers on my doorstep, screenshots of the threatening messages, audio recordings of the breathing phone calls. This man has been stalking me for 3 weeks. I documented everything because I was afraid of exactly this moment. Him trying to flip the narrative. The guards examine my phone and I watch David's face cycle through confusion, rage, and something else. Something that makes my skin crawl. These are fake, he says, but his voice lacks conviction. She's technologically savvy. She could have created all of this. With what equipment? Marcus asks. She's a literature major. When would she have time to learn voice cloning and photo manipulation? But as the guards continue their investigation, David does something that makes my blood freeze. He starts laughing. Not the charming laugh that once made me weak in the knees, not even the bitter laugh of a man caught in his lies. This is something else entirely, something that sounds like it's coming from somewhere deep and dark and ancient. You still don't understand, do you, Camilla? His voice is changing, becoming layered, like multiple people speaking in unison. You think this is about obsession. You think this is about love. You think this is about some man who couldn't handle losing his wife and child. The temperature around us seems to drop 10 degrees. What if I told you, he continues, his eyes beginning to reflect light like an animal's, that I've been hunting you across more timelines than just this one? What if I told you that every time you die, every time you're reborn, every time you try to escape, I'm there waiting? The security guards have stopped talking. Everyone in the parking lot has gone perfectly still, like prey sensing a predator. In timeline 47, you tried to warn your parents about me. I made sure they died in a car accident before you could reach them. My knees nearly give out. That's impossible. In timeline 63, you became a police officer, thinking law enforcement training would help you fight me. I possessed your partner and made him shoot you during what should have been a routine traffic stop. Marcus grabs my arm, his face white with terror. Camilla, we need to leave. Now! In timeline 81, you became a nun, thinking sacred ground would protect you. David's smile stretches too wide now, showing teeth that are too sharp. Even God's house couldn't keep me out. What are you? I whisper. I'm your constant darling. I'm the thing that follows you through every death, every rebirth, every pathetic attempt to escape your fate. You can change your choices, change your path, change your entire life, but you cannot change me. The air around David begins to shimmer, like heat waves rising from summer pavement. His perfect human mask starts to slip, revealing something underneath that makes my eyes water to look at directly. But here's what's different about this timeline, my sweet Camilla, he says, his voice now definitely coming from multiple throats. This time I'm tired of the chase. This time I'm going to make sure you remember exactly what you are to me. He raises his hand and reality bends. The security guards freeze mid-motion, their faces locked in expressions of confusion. Students walking across the distant quad stop moving like someone hit pause on a movie. Even the wind stops, leaving an unnatural silence that presses against my eardrums. Only Marcus and I can still move. Fascinating, David muses, studying Marcus with newfound interest. The boy can still function. That's unexpected. Marcus pulls me behind a car, his hand shaking as he dials 911, but his phone screen shows only static. Technology won't save you, David calls out pleasantly. Prayer won't save you. Running won't save you. But I'll tell you what might. He starts walking toward us, each step making the asphalt crack beneath his feet. Fight back! The words hit me like lightning. In 81 timelines I've run, I've hidden, I've tried to change my circumstances, my relationships, my entire life, but I've never once tried to fight the monster directly. Marcus, I whisper urgently, do you trust me? With my life, he responds without hesitation. Then, when I say run, you run straight to the physics building. Find Professor Chen, tell her Camilla sent you and that we need the prototype from her quantum mechanics lab. What? Prototype? She'll know what you mean. David is getting closer, his form becoming less human with each step. Oh, this should be entertaining. What's your plan, darling? Holy water? Exorcism? A strongly worded letter? I stand up from behind the car, facing the thing that's been hunting me across dozens of lifetimes. My plan is simple. I pull out my phone and start recording. My plan is to make sure that no matter what timeline I end up in next, I'll remember everything, every horror you've put me through, every person you've hurt because of me, every single detail of what you really are. David stops walking, his inhuman features twisting, with something that might be concern. And then, I continue, hitting upload on the video, I'm going to make sure every version of me across every timeline knows exactly how to destroy you. The upload finishes just as David lunges forward with a roar that sounds like thunder and breaking bones. "Run!" I scream to Marcus. As he sprints toward the physics building, I turn to face my eternal tormentor with the first real smile I've worn in 81 lifetimes. "Let's finish this, you son of a bitch." David's claws tear through the air where my head was a second before. I roll behind another car, adrenaline sharper than any drug coursing through my veins. For the first time in 81 lifetimes, I'm not running away. I'm buying time. Behind me, I can hear Marcus's footsteps echoing across the quad as he races toward the physics building. "You think that boy can save you?" David snarls, his voice now a harmony of rage and something far older. "You think some human invention can stop what I am?" His form is barely recognizable now. Writhing shadow given shape, with eyes like burning coals and fingers that end in obsidian claws. But underneath the monster, I can still see traces of the handsome face that fooled me so many times. "I think," I gasp, diving behind a concrete planter as his claws shred metal like paper, "that you're about to find out." A roar of fury splits the air, and suddenly the frozen world around us explodes back into motion. Students scream and scatter as they see the nightmare that was David. The security guards fumble for their radios, their minds unable to process what they're witnessing. But I don't have time to worry about witnesses. David is done playing games. He moves like liquid darkness, flowing around obstacles, his claws leaving deep gouges in concrete and steel. I'm faster than I should be, fear and desperation pushing my body beyond its limits. But he's gaining ground. "In timeline 23, you tried to become a martial artist," he taunts, his voice echoing from everywhere at once. "I let you train for 15 years before I showed myself. Want to know how that ended?" His claw catches my shoulder, tearing through fabric and flesh like it's made of tissue paper. The pain is brilliant, white hot, but it also brings clarity. I've been thinking about this all wrong. "You know what I realised?" I shout, pressing my hand against the bleeding wound. "In 81 timelines, you've never actually killed me yourself." David pauses mid-lunge, confusion flickering across his inhuman features. "Car accidents, partner's bullet, whatever happened in that convent. You always use proxies, don't you? You manipulate, you possess, you orchestrate, but you never deliver the killing blow directly." His silence tells me everything. "You can't kill me directly," I breathe, the pieces falling into place. "That's why you need me broken first. That's why you need me to choose despair. You're not my hunter, you're my parasite." The thing that was David throws back his head and screams, a sound like reality tearing at the seams. When he looks at me again, his burning eyes hold something I've never seen before. Fear. "Clever girl," he hisses, "but knowledge won't save you. I'll just make your precious Marcus push you down some stairs, or drive his car into oncoming traffic with you inside. Or, Camilla." Marcus's voice cuts through the monster's threats. He's running toward us from the physics building, carrying something that looks like a metallic briefcase, covered in my warning labels and blinking lights. "The prototype," he shouts. "Professor Chen says to aim it at anything that doesn't belong in this timeline." David turns toward Marcus with predatory focus. The boy thinks he's a hero. How adorable. But as the creature moves to intercept Marcus, I do something that surprises us both. I tackle David from behind. My arms wrap around what might generously be called his waist, and suddenly I'm flooded with visions. Fragments of all 81 timelines playing out simultaneously. I see myself as a child, a teenager, a mother, a warrior, a victim. I see David in every incarnation, sometimes human, sometimes not, but always hunting. And I see something else. In timeline 1, the very first one, I wasn't his victim. I was his summoner. The memory hits me like a tsunami. 17-year-old me, heartbroken over some forgotten boy, finding an old book in my grandmother's attic. Ancient words spoken in desperate loneliness, calling for someone to love me unconditionally, forever, across all of time and space. You asked for me. David whispers, his voice suddenly tender, almost human again. You called me from the space between worlds and bound me to you with blood and tears and desperate need. You wanted love that would never end, never change, never let you go. I was a child, I scream. I didn't know what I was asking for. But you got it, didn't you? Love that follows you through death itself. Love that will never abandon you, never walk away, never leave you bleeding and alone in a hospital bed. His words hit like physical blows because there's truth in them. In my first life, David did stay. Even after pushing me down those stairs, even after our daughter died, he came back to the hospital. He held my hand while I cried. He whispered apologies and promises to change. And I forgave him, again and again and again. The binding can only be broken one way, David continues, his monstrous form beginning to solidify back into something human. You have to choose to let me go, not run from me, release me, send me back to the void you pulled me from. And if I don't, his smile is heartbreaking in its genuine sadness. Then we do this again. Timeline 82 and 83 and 84 forever. Marcus reaches us, the prototype device humming with dangerous energy. Camilla, whatever that thing is, I can send it back where it came from. But I'm not looking at the device. I'm looking into David's eyes. Eyes that hold genuine love alongside the madness. Love twisted into something unrecognizable, but love nonetheless. In the hospital, I whisper, when you left me. I've never left you, he says softly. Even when you died, I followed. Even when you forgot me, I remembered. Even when you chose others, I waited. I can't leave you, Camilla. You won't let me. The truth of it crashes over me like a cold wave. Every timeline where I tried to escape, where I chose someone else, where I built a life without him, part of me was still calling to him. The part that was lonely, that was afraid of being abandoned, that would rather have toxic love than no love at all. The part of me that summoned him in the first place. Marcus, I say quietly, not taking my eyes off David, I need you to step back. Camilla, no. Whatever you're thinking, I need you to step back because what I'm about to do might destroy us both. I reach out and take David's hand, the hand that pushed me down the stairs, that struck me, that has reached for me across 81 lifetimes. His skin is warm, human, familiar. I release you, I whisper. Nothing happens. David's laugh is bitter. You have to mean it, darling. You have to actually let go. I close my eyes and think about Emma, the daughter who never got to live because of the cycle David and I were trapped in. I think about all the versions of Marcus I never got to love because I was too busy being consumed by this twisted relationship. I think about 81 lifetimes of pain and fear and running. But mostly, I think about the scared, lonely 17-year-old girl who just wanted someone to love her. I forgive you, I tell her. I forgive you for being desperate. I forgive you for making a terrible mistake, and I forgive you for not knowing how to fix it. The binding and jewel around my heart, a chain I've worn for so long I forgot it was there, begins to crack. David, I say, opening my eyes, I loved you once, the human you pretended to be. But love isn't supposed to be a prison. Not for you and not for me. I squeeze his hand one final time. I release you. I release us both. Go back to the void, and this time, stay there. The chain shatters. David's form begins to dissolve, but instead of rage, his face shows only relief. Thank you, he whispers, and for just a moment, he looks like the man I thought I'd fallen in love with all those years ago. Finally, thank you. He fades like morning mist, taking with him 81 lifetimes of pain and fear and running. I collapse to my knees, emotionally and physically drained. Marcus drops the prototype and wraps his arms around me, solid and real and wonderfully, perfectly human. Is it over? He asks. I lean into his warmth, feeling truly free for the first time in longer than I can remember. Yeah, it's over. But as we hold each other in the aftermath of the supernatural storm, I can't shake the feeling that this is just the beginning. Because now I remember everything. 81 timelines worth of knowledge, skills, and hard-won wisdom. I remember languages I learned, fighting techniques I mastered, sciences I studied. And I remember something else, something David let slip during his confession. I'm not the only one. There are others like me, people who made desperate bargains, who summoned things they couldn't control, who are trapped in their own endless cycles. Marcus helps me to my feet, his eyes full of concern and something deeper. What happens now? I look around the campus, at the students going about their normal lives, unaware of the battle that just took place, at the professors teaching classes, the couples holding hands, the ordinary, beautiful world that almost became David's playground forever. Now, I smile, and for the first time in 81 lifetimes, it reaches my eyes. Now we help the others. Because I may be free from my own monster, but somewhere out there, another desperate soul is about to make the same mistake I did. Another entity is about to be summoned from the void. Another cycle is about to begin. And this time, when it happens, they won't have to face it alone. This time, they'll have someone who understands, someone who knows how to break the chains, someone who's been there before and found her way home. My name is Camilla, and I've died 81 times. But I've only just begun to live.